everyone, and welcome to this new series of vlogs that I'm starting on fitting. And I'm starting with this simple series on tissue fitting a pattern. And rather than starting with a vintage pattern, which is what I often sew from, I decided that I should start with a very simple contemporary pattern, because if you're a beginner, it's really easier to start that way. So what I've chosen is Vogue 8615. It's very easy Vogue pattern. It's a very retro looking dress, which is why I chose it. It has a full circle skirt. I'm doing option number letter A rather, which has 3/4 length sleeves. They both have boat necks and French darts, which means the darts come up from the side seam, and they go to a low V in the back and then have this full circle skirt. So the way I would do this, it's a very simple pattern, so I would just start by tissue fitting. I'm not going to make a muslin, so because as you'll see, we can probably figure out most of the fitting issues through a tissue fitting, which is great. So I'm going to start with the bodice. I've cut out my pieces. Here's the front, and I've cut out size 14, which is my usual size in contemporary patterns. And the first thing I've done, hopefully you can see, is I've drawn all the seam allowances in there in this sort of lime green marker. So I don't know if you can see that, but that's going to show me where the seams are actually going to fall when I put it on my body. But the first thing I want to do is close up this French dart. So I'm going to put it down, and I'm just going to grab the dart. I know you can't see it on the table, but I'm going to hold it up when I'm done. So I'm going to grab the legs of the dart, and I'm doing it from the outside, not the inside like a dart would be sewn. So I'm just grabbing up the start, and then I'm folding it down, and I'm going to pin it in place. And this pattern is lining up very nicely, so it looks like it's a nicely drafted pattern, which is a great pattern to start with if you're a beginner. Okay, so as you can see, I've pinned that bust dart together, and so now this front piece will be ready to be fitted. But what I like to do before I even pin it together is I like to measure my pattern pieces using a clear flat ruler, because it'll say on your pattern piece, have you ever seen one of these symbols that's like it's a cross in a circle, and then it has some measurements for each size? That is the finished measurement of the garment, which of course you wish they would put it on the envelope. They don't. They put it inside. So 14, it says that the bust measurement finish is going to be 39 inches. My high bust measurement is 36, and my full bust is 37, so that's going to give me a nice 2 inches of ease. This dress is pretty fitted, so, or it should be a fitted look, so that might even be too much, but I'm not worried about it. So we'll see, and I can always take it in if I need to. I do usually worry about the waist on patterns, because I often have to grade down to a size 16 in my hips, and I do that through the waist. I'm going to take my front pattern piece, and I'm going to measure it from seam allowance to seam allowance. It's got this seam down the center front, and then this is my side seam allowance. So I would lay it flat, measure from seam allowance to seam allowance, and when I do that, what I get is 7 3/4. And that's just for 1/2 of the front side. So to get the entire front waist measurement, you need to double that. So that would be 7 3/4 times 2, which would be 15 1/2. So that's my front waist measurement. Now I want to do the back one as well. So here's my back pattern piece for the bodice. And you'll see, well, maybe you can't see, but I did go ahead and close up the back dart here. And I'm going to do the same thing that I did with the front, which is draw in all the seam allowance lines in that lime green marker. And so now I just want to measure that bottom again. So from seam allowance to seam allowance, so I can get the full waist measurement. So when I do that, lay it down flat, get a good accurate measurement there. When I do that, it's 7 1/2 inches for the back. So double that, and I'll get 15 inches for the back waist measurement. So I want to add it to the front waist measurement, which was 15 1/2. So my total waist measurement would be 30 1/2 inches, which is great for me because my waist is 29 1/2 inches, so that gives me 1 inch of ease. And in a really retro pattern like this, you really want a nice fitted look. So an inch should do it. But luckily, if I need to take anything out or in, I have 5/8 of an inches to work with there. So I'm not going to make any changes to the waist for now, but I'm going to put it on, and I'm going to pin it all together and then put it on and see how it's fitting. So that's the next step when you're pattern fitting, is to pin it together to prepare it. for the tissue fitting. And I'll get to that in the next video.